Hey, welcome to another Valley Forged. Today, I'm going to show you something that can make a lot of money. And that is acrylic earrings, and specifically mirror. Now, this has to be the highest profit, highest margin thing that you can make on a laser. Maybe not, but let's just say this is a great one. When you think about how many you can make per day at what price. And that's important. Say you're trying to start a small business and you've only got a small K40 CO2 laser and you're trying to start a business. Now, when you get it properly set up, and you can go through my videos about the Monport K40, the reason I have that is because it does have light burn connectivity built in, which to me is just a no-brainer. You just get that. And yeah, I made some modifications to it, but now it's running very smoothly and at a pretty low cost, especially for being able to do acrylic. Now, if you have a bigger machine, that's wonderful, and you can make probably 1,000 at a time. But for a K40, I can already make, about 1,000 a day. I could probably make 1,000 pairs of acrylic mirror earrings in a day. And if you multiply that by like $10 to $15 a pair, you can see this is quite a business. So it's just a matter of being able to sell them, coming up with the right thing to go in them. You can see here I've got this logo for kind of a Japanese logo. I should be doing a Japanese themed show pretty soon. So as you can see with my wallets that I've got up on Etsy, link below, I've got a Chinese theme going there for some of them. I've also had a few birthdays for colleagues of my wife's that were Chinese. So I was able to make from scratch earrings that had their name on it. And this is one other thing that's so nice about having, a laser, is that you can make very personal gifts that otherwise could be very difficult. I mean, you can make them completely original. So take a look at this. It was a nice little gift. So I kind of did the same thing for my wife. But then I've got here this Mount Fuji logo type thing that I wanted to work with and make just a pair of earrings. So I figured I would show you this. Okay, I just had to break in real quick. I forgot the most basic thing because I've been doing this for so long. I forgot never, ever, ever, ever engrave or cut with the mirror side up. You could really do some serious damage there. So as long as you cut with the mirror side down, so you've got the coating or whatever on the back, it is no problem. It's not even an issue. So I've been doing this for a long time. Don't be scared. Just remember to never put the mirror side up and you will be fine. And like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. All right, back to the video. First step, of course, figure out what you want to make. Circular is nice because what I did here is I'm making both the type of earring, because I'm making big ones and small ones. So ones that are hanging and ones that go on studs, because different people like different things. I mean, like my wife's colleague, she only wears studs, but she has several piercings for those studs. Whereas my wife only wears dangly earrings pretty much. And so, it's more likely that if you just make both, then you're going to cover your bases. And why mirror? Mirror will really draw people to your table or to your object. Even if it's selling online, if you catch the right picture, people love to see themselves. You can make a large version of this and have it, and the sun will hit it. I'm always thinking about not only how do you make something, but how do you attract people to the thing you make? And the mirror really works well that way. It's super cheap. You can just go to Target or whatever and buy a huge mirror for like $7 to $10. And make 1,000 earrings off of it. And the regular mirror is probably the best way to start because it is very cheap and you can make a lot of mistakes and it's no big deal if you scratch one, and then you can say move on to the other types of acrylic mirror. I love the gold or rose gold, but again, this is going to be much more expensive. So I make all of my mistakes on regular mirror. And believe me, I make a lot. And you get all your settings right and everything correct before you move on to the more expensive stuff. Same thing I told you about leather, right? And so one thing about the Monport, about the K40, it just blows through this stuff. Once you get your settings right, you could just make these over and over and over again. You could tweak them. Some things to pay attention to are how close your lines are together when you're cutting. Because when you're engraving, sure, they could see this, all of the inside I engraved, I did not cut. And I do that for a reason. When you're cutting, especially smaller pieces of acrylic, when you're cutting lines that are very close together, a lot of times that heat will build up and you may get some cracks, you may get some things in there that you don't want. Also, having any line that's close to the outside diameter, that's why I have it pushed in a bit, can introduce some cracks and artifacts that you're not going to want. So that's just something I've learned to do, is keep your lines kind of separated from each other. Now, if you're working with a much larger laser, 70 watt to 110, 150 watt, you have a little bit more leeway of what you can do with power and speed. So I'm specifically dealing with settings for a 40 watt CO2 laser, which does the job brilliantly, but you just have to be very precise. And do not use air assist. You can use just a little bit of air coming out. I do that to keep any sort of fires down and also to keep the smoke off of my lens. But I don't want any air going onto the actual project because that will cool it down and actually introduce lines and things. You can go back to my cutting acrylic video I did just a few videos ago that teaches you tips and tricks about cutting acrylic, moving it off of the bed, etc. There's a lot of things that you can do that will make your acrylic come out much, much cleaner. And also remove the scratches in case you get some, you'll get some. So then once you've cut it out, making the earrings is not that difficult, and it's one of the cheaper things that you can do and very gratifying. And of course, you can take these and you can make coasters out of them. You can move it over to your your diode laser, and you can cut, like I said, wooden things out of it. You can cut leather things out of it. There's so much you can do once you have it, and then you can build an inventory that is maybe a symbol or a drawing or something that really works, that people really love to buy. So then you've seen it, it came out beautifully. Now I'm going to go over and I'm going to color the back. Now there's many different ways you can do this. One, you can spray paint the back before you even do the engraving. And that's what that's going to do, is that's going to allow you to have a certain color back so that you don't have that gray when you're finished. Now you can, of course, do that when you're done, but it's probably a lot easier to do right from the beginning, especially if you know what color back you're going to want. Now, as far as coloring the inside, there are so many ways to do that. And I would experiment, please. You probably got some spray paint laying around. I use paint pens a lot. You can use regular paint and just dab it in. You can experiment and try all these different ways and see which way works best for you. As you can see over here, I use a paint pen real quick, and just when you press it down, the paint comes out. So it's pretty easy to get into the cracks and crevices, and I think it looks really nice. As far as putting on the studs, you want to make sure that you sand the backs of both sides so that the glue sticks on better. I use a super glue, a medium super glue. It works fantastic. I've had zero issues with it coming off. In fact, I can't pull it off even if I want to. As far as getting the hoops and the hardware, that is super cheap on Amazon or anywhere you want to go. Really, for about $30, you can get all of the hardware that you want for making earrings, and both gold and silver and copper or whatever else you want to do. And the tools are reasonably cheap as well. 15, 20 bucks, you've got all the tools you could want. So really, it's one of the cheaper ways to get into, say, a small business, or maybe it's just something you want to do as a hobby. The entry level is very low, especially if you've already got a laser. Now, if you have a diode laser, you could do these same things in wood. There's really neat things you could do with leather. I wouldn't recommend trying to do acrylic. It just doesn't work that well. And there is a lot of art you can do with mirror on the backside of a mirror. And this is a neat thing about having the CO2 laser. I have seen so many cool mirrors that are decorated. Oh, one last thing I wanted to mention. Make sure that you mirror. It's funny, a video about mirrors, but make sure you mirror the image, because it is going to be flipped when you do it onto the backside of the mirror. How many times did I just say mirror? And yeah, all the hardware here is just laying around because I spilled it all over, but I wanted to show that in the video anyways. Some of you are probably going to ask about settings. You know, settings are completely different even on the same type of machine. I believe I'm engraving at 70 speed and 30 power as far as the engraving goes, 13 speed and 60 power twice for the cutting. It seems to work out well for me for this particular machine, but you know, your mileage may vary. I'm sure there's other things I'm missing, but I think you can take what I've said here and run with it. And I'd love to see what you make and see if this works out for you, and if this can help your business or help, give away gifts or something. And I will see you in the next one.